Hey, everybody. Super excited to have you here with us on a Monday. And we're getting close to the longest day of the year. So we are joined by a woman who is very happy about that, Dr. Lena Ramfelt, or as we affectionately call her, and you can find her online. She is Lena in the trenches. Lena is in Stockholm, where it is light out until about 11:30 these days, and Swedes are loving it because they can be out in the streets, having their coffee, having their beer. Hi, Lena.
Hey, so nice to be here with you, Alice.
Well, we're glad to have you here. It's been so long since I have been able to sit down in a room with you and have a beer or a cocktail, so we'll have to rectify that soon.
Oh, well, now it's recorded, so you can't step away from that.
Oh, okay. All right. That's right. So welcome everybody to Making the Case. This is one of our web series. We also do Instagram lives. We did one with a wonderful guy named Chef JJ a couple weeks ago. But in Making the Case, we invite a guest to join us and make their case for something in the creative economy that is either something they're a champion for, something they're against, something they want to see have happen. And you can find out more about everything that we do at Creative Startups by subscribing to our Substack. The link is right there. You can find us on YouTube. We've got a lot of videos up there. We're all over social media. And we'll wrap up the show with just a hot second about Creative Startups and what we do. But let's dive in with Dr. Lena Ramfelt. And Lena is here to make the case that Pitchfests suck. So take it away, Lena. Why do you think, first of all, maybe we should define what is a Pitchfest, what's a demo day, pitch competition. These are words that people in our realm of startup accelerators, entrepreneurship throw around a lot. And what we mean by Pitchfest or demo day, pitch competition is what we're talking about today is usually a pretty theatrical. There's a stage, there's microphones, it's being recorded, there's often a huge screen, and the entrepreneur is up there pitching her or his company. And often what's implied by a pitch competition is that there are investors in the audience, so not just community members, but actual angel or venture investors who, by virtue of being there, are saying, I might be interested in investing in one or two of these companies. So that's sort of the scene of a pitch fest. Some will have 30 people in the audience. Sometimes you see pitch competitions that have 300 or 400 people in the audience. I laughingly refer to one that I attended in the Middle East a couple years ago that had a live band to kick it off and balloons falling from the ceiling before the light show. I'm not kidding. I left. I went and had a martini instead. So pitch fests, why do they suck, Dr. Lena?
So, I mean, I don't mind a fest, really. It's the competition part, and I think that, and as I state that in the article, I have done it too. I mean, I have organized pitch competitions.
Yeah, we host them at Creative Startups. We do it.
Yes. Yeah. It's the competition part that I do not like. And that's why I say, but there is, all accelerator, incubator programs, whatever, we are expected. It's kind of in the manuscript that we should end it, and we want to end it with a big celebration. And in that manuscript, in the template, there is a competition.
Yes. Yeah.
Where the whole idea is to let's pick some winners. And that's where I suggest, and I have to be honest, I don't feel comfortable either being a judge nowadays. I feel more comfortable being on the entrepreneurs side and really try to prepare them as good as I can. But overall, I don't like it because there are good ideas that will never come into fruition because, the entrepreneur said, no, I didn't win. I didn't get any, I didn't get a hot seat at an incubator.
Okay. But Lena, the market being in a market is competitive. So are you saying that you don't like competition in general? Narrow it down, because I know that's not true.
No.
Narrow it down.
Yes. I mean, there is a competition. There is a competition that the entrepreneurs have to face and deal with. But the ones who kind of judge you are the customers, those who are going to pay you.
So what you're arguing is that this business of having a theatrical performance where you're competing to be the best performer is a false competition. Like, it doesn't matter in some ways because it doesn't reflect what customers in the market think.
No, because the judges might not be your customers.
Right.
And at the occasions where I have been in the audience at pitch competitions, and there have been, and I kind of get it. It's like with the balloon thing that you were mentioning, is that when everyone can vote for their, the favorite of the 12, whatever, and it's totally ridiculous because it doesn't have. It's not any close to reality at all.
So why though? What you prompt me to ask, because we host accelerators all over the world, and we do pitch days. We do them a little differently, and we do them differently now because we kind of stumbled on, how useless in many ways these competitions, these theatrical performances can be. But what was the original purpose? Like, if we go back to the roots of why pitch, does it even matter if an entrepreneur can pitch?
Yes, it definitely does. Because they need to be able to pitch. They need to be able to communicate what they can offer to customers, to partners, to investors, to people they want to employ. So they have to work on that. But pitch, be able to communicate that is, at least according to me, it's different. And we should absolutely do whatever we can do in order to support them to develop the content and have the self-confidence to pitch. But that is different from doing a pitch competition. If being on stage,
building the confidence. I'm imagining people who are not natural sort of performers. They actually would lose confidence. They would come away from that Pitchfest experience with their confidence going down instead of going up.
Yes, and that's part of why I suggested too many ideas that fail, that could really have done great in their market space, because the founder, the entrepreneur, wasn't a performer, or because they were not ready. They were not ready for it yet.
Yeah. I would argue that one of our most beloved alumni, Meowwolf, when they pitched, I didn't really get what they were doing. Nobody in the room, I don't think, would claim that they really understood what Meowwolf was going to be doing. And so they did a good job, and you could see their drive and their passion. And they did an okay job, but it wasn't like when you look at the Airbnb, there's a famous Airbnb slide deck that you can find that conveys this sort of precise, this is exactly what we're doing. This is exactly how we'll make money. This is exactly why we'll grow and become a unicorn. That wasn't there with Meowwolf when they were starting. they are on track to be a unicorn next year. They will be valued at unicorn status next year. So what was that gap? I would say, Lena, they were doing something so novel, so breakthrough, and ready for like ultra pre-seed investment, right? So the Airbnb deck is for when they were raising like their Series A. Of course, they could communicate everything really well by then. They probably had a marketing team, right? But for these super early stage creative companies, they might be trying to communicate something that's so mind-blowing, it doesn't fit in 3 minutes. Yeah. Or I can't get it because I'm not the visionary that they are, so I can't yet fully see it.
No, and I mean, I pulled out an article from Harvard Business Review in the February in 2020, where it's called "The Founder of Chewyk.com on Finding the Financing on Achieving Scale." And that's a company that was acquired for a lot of money. They had to pitch to. They had 100 conversations with VCs.
Yeah. That's one of our mentors in Jordan, Michael Gandour, wonderful guy. I remember him coming to one of our deep dives and telling the story of pitching 80 times. The 81st investor said, "Yeah, I want to learn more. This is interesting." They are the founders of Mum's World. If you live in the Middle East, you use them. They're like one of the Amazons, basically, of the Middle East. And when they were pitching, nobody got it. No. Right. Yeah. So, and we have lots of stories. There are tons of startups that have come through our program that did not blow everybody away on demo day. And boy, they're still out there cranking it out. They're creating jobs. They're building sustainable companies, as you say, sustainable, resilient, impactful companies that matter to our community.
Yeah. So and again, I want to bring it back to the fest thing because I don't want to be a party pooper here. But I think that and that is something that I got introduced to Professor Dweck at Stanford. She wrote a wonderful book called the Growth Mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that what creative startups have done really successful, and I really encourage other accelerator programs to adapt, that is the demo day, because because what Professor Dweck says is that what an F as a grade means really is not ready yet, not a fail. It's not ready yet. You need to work some more on it. Yeah. So, and I think that there are many entrepreneurs, they just have to work a little bit more. And what we have done at Creative Startup, and that I truly enjoy, and I know for sure that the entrepreneurs enjoy too, is that what we refer to as the demo day. And that is, to me, it's more of a Socratic method of doing things. That, of course, the entrepreneurs, they had to go on stage and they pitch for two minutes or something. And then they each had a table. And we had invited all different people, friends, family, investor, potential partners. Everyone from the community was kind of invited to come.
Yeah.
And what happened then is that the entrepreneurs then showing their products, having these conversations, there is a sense of kind of a growth mindset because they all learned something, And they were bouncing ideas with these potential customers, investors, strategic partners. And the entrepreneurs were still in control. So they can decide on, that's interesting. No one wants to wear a blue sweater.
Right. They come away, they come
away stronger. Yeah. And even if there were some, critique or negative feedback, they could decide if they want to, if it was useful for them. But let's say that Elon Musk had been, if we have had him as a judge at Creative Startups, when Meowwolf.
I think he's on today. He's one of our guests today.
Oh,
but yes,
okay.
Thanks,
So
Elon, for being here.
It's an invitation to Elon Musk to join us. And Meowwolf had shown up and pitched something that was totally disruptive in a totally different market space.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk must, because as we know, Elon Musk, at least publicly, we kind of know he's going to tell it as he sees it. He probably would have said, I don't get it. And if Elon Musk said, I don't get it, the community kind of says, okay, that's probably a lousy idea. Now we know that Meowwolf, the people behind Meowwolf, were pretty self-confident people. So they probably, but not all people are like that. And, and I just have to say that. Sorry.
Point, right? Like some entrepreneurs, you're going to say no. So I see, looks like maybe Creative Startups alumni Mixtrose has logged in to say that they had to pitch a gazillion times. These ladies at Mixtrose, you could have said no 1,000 times and they would have kept going. Yeah. Right. So there is something to be said for, you got a lot of no's, but you got to keep going. You have to have that faith. And I've said this before, and you have to look to the people around you who say yes, right? Like really hold dear, I believe, if you're an early stage startup, hold dear to the people who say yes, and hold dear to the people who believe in you, because there will be many more times when people don't believe in you, and having those advisors or people in your corner. I think Lena is one of the best startup champions ever, right? She is always in the corner of the entrepreneur, to the point where sometimes I have to say, Lena, stop it. The entrepreneur is not always right. But you need people like that in your corner, because of, the number of people in your corner when you're starting out and doing something disruptive is always going to be smaller than the number of people who are not in your corner. So you're going to get all those no's, and you just got to keep going, occasionally cry on the shoulder of Lena or someone like Lena. I bet there are people listening right now. Pop up comments, because I am guessing that there are people listening right now who can totally resonate. Pitches should not be competitions. The other thing that I worry about, and that our staff works really hard on, is after the accelerator. We always say our programs, whether it's a full 12-week accelerator or one of our shorter programs, that's really just that's our opening salvo. That's our first step with an entrepreneur. We're going to be there with you regardless of how long it takes. Usually the successful entrepreneurs, after a year or two, they move away because they've got what they need. They're on to their next sort of supporters. What I worry about, Lena, is that if you lose a competition, do all the resources of that accelerator and that community sort of evaporate, right? Well, you didn't win, so now we're not going to bet on you. And we work really hard at Creative Startups to continue to make the bets on the companies that came through and maybe bombed on pitch day, or just didn't have it figured out by pitch day, and so they couldn't communicate it well. But this sense of building community and ecosystem, it can have a negative impact because it changes how people perceive the value of that entrepreneur in that startup by simply giving them they didn't win. That doesn't mean that they won't win next year, right?
No, but to me, that is also shows. I don't know what's the word in English is, but I think that for an accelerator or a program to say that is, I think that is, that's just bad. It's kind of, it's not brave. It's right. I can't find the right word, but because I get so agitated just thinking about it. Because I think that's one thing that Creative Startups is doing really well, is that I mean we were forthcoming in saying we are not the market space expert. It's impossible for us to be the market space expert. You, the entrepreneur, Mixtrose founders team, they are, and we will do anything we can to support them in growing their understanding in their market space, because we come with experiences and an understanding and a process that will hopefully support them, but it will also support other entrepreneurs in other market spaces. But don't, people behind those incubators don't dare to say, let's work on this one.
Right.
At least so that help entrepreneurs, which I do from time to time, to have some sort of a closure. Why couldn't it work? That is just bad taste.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it does really undercut so much of the previous work that's been invested, right? Because you get people going through a process and then to just sort of wipe all that away because they didn't perform precisely well in a 3-minute pitch. It's pretty foolish. I think it goes back to asking the question, what was the original purpose of pitch days? And I would say, looking back at Y Combinator and Techstars and sort of early days of accelerators, right? The purpose was, to be very clear, was to engage investors to help Y Combinator and Techstars raise their fund. And yes, invest in some of these companies. But just like Shark Tank, which I know, Lena, you love Shark Tank. Lena asked if it would be okay if she said, I hate Shark Tank live. And I said, I think you could definitely say that. Most people who go on Shark Tank, I know 2 companies who have gone on, they didn't go on to raise money. They didn't go on the show in order to raise money. They went on the show in order to get the marketing out of it, to double their social media followers, to increase sales. They went on knowing they would never accept the terms, because the Shark Tank investors tend to have really unfair terms. So I think going back to what is the purpose of a pitch competition and who is it really benefiting, I think kind of unpacking that is important, especially in regions where, like Lena writes about frontier incubation, in regions where you don't have a swath of angel investors who want to come and put in 25, 50, 250,000. Having a pitch competition for investors is really not a great solution. So talk a little bit more, Lena, because in Kuwait, we did it differently. When we worked with Savor, the accelerator we ran with Rashid Sultan over there, we did it differently. And those companies raised money, but how did we shape that?
So in Kuwait, what we did is that we had I think it was seven companies that pitched to investors and potential strategic partners, just for 2 minutes. And then the investors and partners had to sign up for having more of conversation with those companies that they were interested in. But they also had to pitch to the entrepreneurs why the entrepreneurs should spend time with that particular partner or that particular investor, so that the entrepreneur could say, no, thank you, but no, thank you. We are not interested in So again, the entrepreneur was still in charge.
Yeah. And the investor, as you say, could have, through the Socratic method of saying, tell me more about why you think you can hit 15% profit margin next year.
Yes.
They can have a real conversation, and the investor might say, gosh, that's interesting because I run a really similar business and I don't see margins like that. Can you tell me what innovation you're using to achieve that margin?
Yes.
And then they start having like a really interesting conversation around how to build that business. Which, the other point that I think is important for people who might have this idea in their mind that you raise money, you pitch, it's brilliant, you get $100,000 and then you call the investor once or twice a year. No. Investors are building that company with you. And if they're good, smart money, as we say, they're really helpful. They really understand your business and how to add value beyond dollars. And so you want to have that conversation to know if you want them to invest in your company. Do you want to build this business with this person? So that's a really great way of sort of turning the theatrical performance into, Lena, a real conversation among entrepreneurs, strategic partners, and investors, and hopefully people who are out there in maybe frontier or emerging market spaces like we are in New Mexico are going to start thinking a little bit differently about how you, yes, bring forward entrepreneurs with a celebratory nature and you give them 2 or 3 minutes to shine, but then you do the real work of hosting conversations among investors, entrepreneurs, and continuing to do the work of supporting those entrepreneurs long after the Pitchfest is over and entrepreneurs are still out there putting to work that growth mindset, slogging away at getting customers, and building sustainable and impactful businesses and communities. If you want to learn more about creative startups, you can visit us online. Please feel free to check out our new YouTube channel. We've got a whole lot of videos up there. Hop on Instagram. We do Instagram lives about once a week. And we'll be back in 2 weeks with Making the Case with a guest from Copenhagen. So thank you. I guess we're in love with the Nordics these days, Lena. It's so bright and sunny. How could we not? Thank you, Lena. You can find more about Lena on Lena in the Trenches, where she blogs. And she is, again, one of the most fantastic startup coaches and mentors and faculty with creative startups. Thank you, Lena, for being with us today. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.